good mood. Because when it monitors all those sites, Bloomberg and all those places.
Every second.
Yes, he sees that the gold prices keep shooting up and shooting up and shooting up and shooting up. So where are we currently on gold price?
Oh, around the morning. And good morning to your listeners and viewers. I didn't know people watch us across the globe.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, it topped 2,300.
US dollars?
Yes.
Per ounce?
Yes.
Hey! What were your projections for the year on the average?
Oh, we want to be conservative, so we're looking at 2,000.
Wow.
1,900, 2,000. Well, last year, the average price was between 1,900, 1,945. Okay? So that's how the quarter ended. Yes. Our projections in terms of gold production, 4.5 million. So do an average of 2,000. That's about
9.
So we're looking at between 9 and if prices stay like this, we're looking at between 9 and 10 billion.
Okay.
Dollars.
Okay. So this should fairly land us where we want to go today, and I explained that. Now cocoa is top 10,000, and there are people who've raised this issue for years, and that includes me. We are not going to discuss cocoa, but it's related, and I establish it soon. That if you look at, say, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, producing close to 70% of the world's cocoa.
Or let's say at least half.
Yes. What Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire put together get from cocoa is a maximum of $4 to $5 billion a year. Yet, that tiny country, Belgium, that does not produce a pod of cocoa, makes about 10 billion from value addition. So chocolate and others, they make 10 billion. Tiny country, Belgium. I'm sure that they perhaps have never seen a fertilizer before. But that's what happens. And so people have raised the issue. You are producing 60 to 70% of the world's cocoa, yet what you make from it. And so that's where the issue of value addition comes in. And even with the little that Ghana was making, about 2 or 3 years ago, we were making close to $400 million from just value addition of a little that we do, about $400 million, which was about a third of the highest that we make from all the sales we make as far as the raw cocoa is concerned. So now the linkage. You've just told us about some 9 to 10 billion if the prices are to remain where they are and we're using an average of 2,000. So people then raise the issue. We are still thinking about our mineral resources in the raw state. We are mining the gold and we are talking about what we are getting from them. Now, people speak about value addition. That's the way to go, value addition. There are countries that don't produce gold at all, but on the basis of value addition, they are making a lot more than those of us who are endowed with this. And that the way to go is value addition, is value addition, is value addition. And so we can have a lot more mines. It can provide employment. We can have local content and make all those monies. But if there were value addition, we perhaps could be making 5 times, 6 times, 7 times what we are making. And we've tarried for so long. Am I making sense?
More than sense.
Okay.
Randy, sometime last year, when we started this program, for me, having looked at the mining policies within the last 20 years, we have come to realize that there are some 6 critical areas as a nation that we need to change. Some, I will talk about them. Some we've started, just like with the way we spent the whole of March on local content and local participation. We'll do so for value addition in the course of April. I hinted 6 areas.
Yes.
The first one was local content and local participation. We've discussed that severally.
Deepening that.
Yes, deepening that and then enhancing it. we ended the discussion sometime last week. The second one is small-scale mining, which we'll come back to it.
Right.
An activity that I said takes place now in about 12, 13 regions, and you have about 3 million directly and indirectly involved. It's also a key area we cannot ignore. Receipts are over $2 billion every year.
Right.
I think I've told you that small scale now eclipses cocoa, both in terms of receipts and in terms of jobs. There are more people doing small scale mining than farming cocoa. There are more, official receipts for small scale gold, officially, it's more than. So even if you put large scale aside, small scale is enough to tackle cocoa. So local content and local participation, small scale mining. Then some time ago, I also told you about the fact that the bulk of the billions of dollars that are used in building the mine, that are poured into exploration, comes from stock exchanges, equity firms, and they are raised basically from outside. They go back, okay? So we are kind of bleeding. So that means the time has now come for us to do a lot about how to raise financing locally, how to raise money to finance money projects locally. So that's the third one. Now the fourth one also has to do with increasing Ghanaian participation, if you like, state and Ghanaian participation. I think the time has now come for Ghanaians also now to own mines. We need to build champions. So that is that on that one. Then sometimes you need to manage your shocks. So rather than relying on only the traditional four, like the likes of gold, manganese, diamonds, and bauxite, we also need to look at diversifying our mineral resource base. So that's the fifth one. Now the last one, which you started a summary with, or the introduction, is the value addition bit. Value addition. Sometimes also referred to as beneficiation. So I think we can start the discussion now on this. So for me, if we need to move forward as a nation, these are the 6 areas we need to tackle. It doesn't matter who is in power. Okay? We have to deal with small scale. Local content we are doing very well, but we need to still do more. I've talked about diversifying our resource base. We need to move beyond just gold, manganese, bauxite, and diamonds. Fortunately, we now are seeing the likes of lithium, graphite, and coal. We need to start thinking of how to raise money here. I'll give you examples. It's happening now. And then, of course, we need to also add value to our minerals. Randy, I'll tell you a very sad story. There is a particular article you need to read. It's just about 2-3 pages. It was written by one of our finest mining lawyers in this country, Mr. Fuichikata.
Yes.
It says the vicissitudes of mining policies in Ghana. You see, somewhere along the line, in the colonial period, the mines were owned by the colonial powers, if you like, British and co. Then, the Champon era, commanding heights of the economy. So in the 70s, we took over. And then we ran them down. So by late 80s, early 80s, late 70s and early 80s, many of the mines have collapsed. So then enter Kwesi Botwe Economic Recovery Program, IMF. We sold all of them, including Ghana Manganese, because then we used to have the Ghana National Manganese Corporation that was state-run. And then that's what happened. Then when IMF and World Bank came in, to help us change our mining policy, the primary focus, so sometimes a little bit of history is important. The primary focus then was that create the enabling environment for investors to come in. So at that stage, throughout the late 80s, throughout the 90s, and even all the way to 2000, our policies have always been geared towards how we attract foreign investments. So the issue of value addition and all those things, we didn't even take them seriously. It is now that we are doing it. You are right. If we don't do anything about value addition, we won't get there. Because the value you get from smelting or processing or refining a mineral is several times higher than taking it raw. So what is the state of play? What is the government policy now? A lot of measures have been put in place to ensure that we do value addition. Some of the things we need to do go beyond just the mining ministry or minerals commission. We need to talk to other stakeholders. But I'll tell you how things are changing now. So let me start with Ghana manganese. So the first shipment of manganese in Ghana started in 1916. 1916.
16.
Yes. So that is 107 years, right? 1916. We are now in 2024. So 180 years.
Yes.
So to quote you, or to just reiterate what you said, we've been shipping manganese in a raw form for 180 years.
Yes.
180 years. Okay? Things have changed now. So, because of the new policies of government, okay? Now, we've worked with a company. They submitted a feasibility. We've reviewed it. Now, it has been agreed that they will build a refinery. So, in about 3-4 months, construction will start. So right now, because right now the manganese we have is low grade, but once the refining starts, it will be upgraded from about 27% to about 40%. Manganese is essentially used in making steel. Then they're also going to produce what is important and what everybody wants to hear, the battery grade manganese.
What's that?
You know, manganese is a core component of the battery. That is used in making electric vehicles. The battery has two key areas. You have the cathode and the anode. The anode is essentially graphite, overwhelmingly graphite. Then the cathode is made up of 4 minerals there: manganese, cobalt, lithium. Okay.
Because I was going to ask you where lithium comes in.
Yeah, so it's lithium, manganese, cobalt, and nickel in a certain mix, 16% here, 17% here. That's why sometimes when people say, oh, wait, you're just joking, because with science and technology, they can increase some of them. So if you take a typical battery, okay, you see nickel in there, you see manganese, you see cobalt, you see what do you call it, lithium, and then you see graphite. A lot of them we have. So that is good news. So around 100 years, manganese was going out raw. Now, this refinery which is going to be built, they will start in the middle of the year. It's going to take about 24 months.
2 years.
Yes. It will, but they are in phases, so no problem. It will create an additional 360 jobs, mainly technicians. And then that is why when we're discussing the skills development, I was telling the public that it is high time we took chemical engineering and metallurgical engineering seriously, because these are the people they will need in a typical refinery. And most of our metallurgical engineers and chemical engineers tend to work in the gold industry as either lab metallurgists or plant metallurgists. Okay, so that is good news. So the manganese one is, we can take off on that. So they're going to produce manganese alloy, which will be used in steel. They're going to produce battery grade mineral, which will be used in battery. It's really a shame that we can do this to ourselves, that it has taken us at least 100 years to now get this done. And so for me, this is a game changer. So let's give ourselves, within the next 2 years, we will start refining manganese in Ghana. So we can tick off on that. Again, if you remember very well, one of the things I will need to credit the president for is the passage of the GIADEC and the GIZDEC law. So if you take bauxite like this, there have been great efforts to actually, smelt and refine. Currently, there's one mine at Awaso, which is Ghana bauxite, 1941. Again, how many years? That's about 84, raw.
But we did this GIADEC thing about 2018.
Yes, but yes. Hang on. Randy, he don't just get up. It has taken Ghana manganese almost over a year for us to come this far. Now, in the case of bauxite, it's a different ball game altogether. You will need an associated infrastructure. Okay? So, the deals have been concluded for Inani. Do you understand that? So, mining the bauxite belt is one. You will need transportation, okay? You will need your railways to transport them. You need to build a refinery to refine the bauxite into alumina. And then fortunately we have a smelter here which needs to be upgraded. But is it not shameful that we are exporting raw bauxite all these years in the 60s, and then we import processed bauxite, which is alumina for our smelter? I mean, did you go or did you come? So that is also taking shape. Do you understand that? So almost all the new bauxite deals that are being signed include the refinery bills. So it requires a lot of power and energy. So we have to take our time. If you couldn't do it in 100 years, why do you want to do it overnight? So the establishment of GIADEC is to see to it that bauxite is refined or is, processed, or we add value to them. So a lot of work is going on in the area of bauxite. I will arrange with the CEO of GIADEC to come here and discuss that in more detail. But I know because I serve on the board as an institutional rep. So we've seen government policies now changing in the area of manganese. We've seen it changing in the area of bauxite. Currently, there are some good refineries. There's one in the Diamond House, and then there's one also at airports. They are not. We are trying to, seek certification for them internationally, so that when the gold leaves here, it will be comparable to whatever will come out of Switzerland or Rand refinery. So that's also in progress. So by far, these are some of the measures that are being put in place. So that of manganese, we can tick off on that. Bauxite, more work is required, but you can see we are moving very well. Gold, there's a refinery at Diamond House, owned by, some Ghanaians and some Indian group. And then so there's also one.
We have a gold refinery here.
Yes, but they will need certification. Okay? So they are working with Rand Refining and other, the LBMA certification, because we want a situation where when you take the gold there, it will be recognized.
What about quantities? How well are they doing in terms of volumes?
In terms of
volumes.
Production?
Yes, the gold refinery.
Yes, but they've not started to produce for the international market yet.
Okay.
Yes, we will need to get all those certifications done. Maybe I need to arrange
How long have they been around?
The one in airport has been around for a while. They do some coins and some bars and co.
Okay.
So maybe next week I can arrange.
Is there one around the airport?
Yes. There's one around the airport, Gold Coast.
Okay.
And then there's also one at Diamond House. So government is working hard to make sure that these ones are certified. So you are right. The refinery is everything. If we joke with them, we won't get anywhere. Even if all the mines are owned by Ghanaians. Are you listening? If all the gold mines and even the manganese mines, all the bauxite mines are owned by Ghanaians, and you still export them raw, you're still losing. So it's like this cocoa argument you're talking about. I think over the weekend when you were talking to Tepe, I was sending you assets from, I was just watching Sky TV, and then they were talking about how expensive chocolate has become across the world because of the situation in Ghana. So that is it. These things, you don't rush them. I always try to quote the former Chief Justice, he's late. Is it Justice Accra who said, when people keep saying, oh, our justice system is slow, it takes decades to get justice, particularly when it comes to criminal matters. I think he, in particular, once remarked that justice, of course, the slogan is justice delayed is justice denied, right? But I think he said justice rushed is justice buried. Because when you force something, you rush it, you miss the key, evidence that you need to put across for the judge to give you, for you to sustain some conviction. So I am proud that at least manganese, we are there now. 108 years raw. Today,
we are getting there.
Yeah, we've gotten there. Not that we are getting there. You want to see the manganese alloy being produced, the manganese silicon alloy being produced. We've done everything. We work on the feasibility with them.
I'm just minded by experience. The Ghanaian experience, where people can even talk to you about some of the plans that the late President Nkrumah had in terms of value addition.
Yes.
And all the things that were started.
There was a gold refining at UMAX.
And all the things that were started. The fact that, we could not
complete them or we stop them.
And all that, yes. So sometimes in our country, when we speak about some of those things, like you learned on the streets of Newtown when you were growing up, Gafrili Gadochi.
Yeah, but we've changed. We've made a U-turn. Now there are football academies to train people. You are seriously into sports, so you know that. the Bukom I knew when I was young is not the same Bukom we have now. Now you have something that, I mean, it's decent. People can train there and then produce more stars. So that is the issue. That you gain several times more if you value add, or the other term that is also used, beneficiation, than you take it out raw.
So let's step back a bit. Do we have a policy on value addition?
Yes. Okay. We have a 2014 mining policy.
2014
mining policy.
Okay.
10 years now. The review have started.
Okay.
And we're going to start a stakeholder engagement on a new policy.
Okay.
If you look at the policy, typically a policy you should change it every 5 years. But then it says that if you look at our mining policy, I'll share a copy with you both in soft and I'll bring a hard copy. It says that unless something dramatic happens, it's still good to go. That's why we held on for this, if you like, 10 years. It's exactly 10 years now of the 2014 policy. But 4 things have happened.
Okay.
1, government has introduced new policies. Like, for example, government aim to ensure that these things don't go out raw. Okay? 2, there are emerging trends. For example, these, electric vehicles and this climate change, which has changed the way mining should be done, which has made some minerals that we did not take seriously now relevant. So you need to change your policy to capture that. Then, of course, technology has also changed. And then, as I said, let me step back a little bit. An area that we have joked with. If we really want a lot of value to be retained here, it's small-scale mining. So, as I said, 89...
What's the correlation?
Yeah, because small-scale mining was formalized or was allowed lawfully in 1989. And that time it was taking place in just 5 regions. Ashanti, Eastern, Central, Western, and then Upper East. So quickly we created offices here to start the regularization. Normally when things like this, when you introduce things, you normally start by what? Legalizing them, putting in place. But I think at that time, the first CEO, the Venerable Kofi Ansah, is still alive. And then Mr. E, who is now the advisor to the minister, for all these years, because when I was a young lawyer there, we kept telling governments after governments that we need to put money in geological investigation. Okay? Because you see, Randy, we knew, if you look at the geology of Ghana, it is not today that we are getting to know that, we have a lot of gold in Savannah, Upper East, Upper West, Northern region, and all those things. I mean, the geologists have known all these things. But then there were some biases. 1, they will tell you, the deposits in the south, if you look at the famous Ashanti Belt, Seshwi Belt, and Co., they are big enough, so don't worry yourself about the north. Number 2, they thought the deposits there were not that big, okay? And then, of course, the difference between the north and the south in terms of infrastructure. So the fact that the place is not well developed, the deposits there were not perhaps as good as those in the south, and then the south have enough deposits where the things that blinded us. Then, Randy, do you know what has changed the face of mining in Ghana? Technology. So today, deposits, even in the south, deposits that were considered very low grade or even nothing there, you cannot mine them. Now they are able to extract them. And now with technology, we're beginning to see very big mines that are coming up in the north now. So we sat down as a nation for 30 years, at least 30 years. We did not, you see, the large scale one, it's the private sector that will do it, or if you like, geological survey. But small scale, there's nothing like geological investigation, so the state must do it. The state will have to do it. So you go and ask for money, then they will tell you, I'm talking about 30 years, 3 decades of inaction. Then they say, we got to deal with Guinea worm, we got to build schools, we got to build railways. And then what the leaders then were not understanding was the fact that they were asking you, okay, so when we give you this money, will you produce a good? We said, 5% chance of success. Then that put them off. Then all of a sudden, technology has made it possible to mine gold everywhere. So from 5 regions, you are not talking about 12, 13 regions. And we are basically doing it. So, Randy, if you ask me, for me, last year the official receipt was about $2.23 billion. I mean, twice that or more was smuggled. And that's a fact. I mean, we shouldn't deceive ourselves that cocoa is smuggled across the borders. It's the same for small-scale gold. Do you understand? Now you have about 50 to 100,000 people that were involved 30 years ago. Now you're talking about 3 million people. And it's livelihood. Randy, you cannot go and discuss anything in Takwa other than mining. You can't go and discuss anything in Dunkwa other than mining. Same in Diaso, same in Prestia. Now, if you go to Savannah region, a very prospective area for gold now, if you like call it the new gold rush, you go to a place like Dakupe, Tinga, Bole, those areas, they now don't understand anything apart from mining. The beauty about the Savannah situation is that many of their gold deposits are underground. So environmentally, that is manageable. So that's the situation we find ourselves. So, me, I've made this clear in every forum or any time I get opportunity to talk. Anybody who start talking about small-scale mining, and I don't see geological investigation of these over 30,000 square kilometers blockade areas as your number one point, it means that you don't understand the problem. And for that matter, you don't have the solution. Okay? At least every year, we need about $10 million to be set aside for geological investigation for the small-scale mining and also for some of these new minerals. Okay? Because small-scale mining, the money will stay here. Now it's becoming sophisticated. The shovels and those things that you see 30, 40 years ago, it's not the small-scale mining we are talking about today. Don't let us also deceive ourselves. When you talk about small-scale mining, people think that they should use pickaxes and no. I mean, there are lawful small-scale mining operations being conducted underground. It's not pickaxe matter. Okay? You go to Dakupe, you go to Tinga, they are doing underground mining, small scale. You go to a place like RMG in Takwa, they have a license and they have 5,000 people working there underground. So what is this pickup thing that you hear civil society people talking about and say, oh, they are supposed to be using pickups and co? It means that people don't even understand the issues. So fortunately, all these things are changing now. So for me, we will need to put in a lot of resources in small scale. That is happening. But I want to see a lot of geological investigation. What's the state of play? We started. So if you go to Dunkwa area, part of Ashanti, government has released money now. So the exploration is being conducted. But of course, we will need to have a dedicated budget to do a lot of geological investigation. So that is an issue.
So
that's an issue.
So when are we having this review of the policy? Because I keep going back to policy because...
So let me explain that.
Yes.
So as we speak, we have released the document to civil society.
Which document?
The draft review policy. We've completed it.
Okay, so you have prepared the
we
draft.
finished, if you look at one of the functions of the Minerals Commission, it says formulate and recommend policies to government. So that we've done, the minister has okayed it. It says go out there and engage people. And so first week in May, we'll have our first 2-3 day sessions with all the civil society groups. We'll engage industry, we'll talk to the chiefs, we'll talk to other institutions that matter or whose activities have a relation with mining, like EPA, like water resources. We'll talk to everybody. So within the next 3 or so months, we hope to complete the review and then submit the comments to the minister. And after that, we'll have a new policy. So surely we'll have a new policy. One other issue to address in the policy is these green minerals.
Okay.
Because no country has a standalone policy for green minerals. You take UK, you take US, you take Australia and all these countries, what they have is a strategy. So we are going to do 2 things. Have a section within the bigger mining policy that addresses green minerals, and then now a strategy. But for now, sometimes what people also don't understand is that when they say a policy, it doesn't necessarily mean a single document.
Yes.
You can have policy directions from statements by the minister, speeches, cabinet directives, etc. So the cabinet approved one, that's the one that we are working with, pending the formal adoption of the 2014 policy. Then we'll now develop a strategy. Sometimes you talk to people or critics who say, wait, you finish that before you do it. I don't accept that because UK had...
The world is not waiting.
No, yes, and then Australia had a strategy last year, for lithium, if you like critical minerals. UK last year, many of them had it between 2002, 2003. So these arguments that will finish your policies before you start exploitation, it doesn't here nor there. Australia has been producing lithium for all these years. half of the world's lithium. They got a strategy just last year. So what is this argument that finish your policy, develop your strategy before you start producing? At least you know the building blocks. So let us put that in place. So Randy, small scale, small scale, small scale. We'll revisit that. Okay. But value addition, if you ask me, it's also a game changer. Okay. We'll talk more about that, and then when we finish that, maybe we shall start looking at what are the various mechanisms that we can raise finance locally. A few examples before we wrap up. I am aware, for instance, that almost close to about $100 million, no, about $180 million was raised by a particular mining company locally. Okay? So the MIF vehicle is one way by which we can have state and Ghanaian participation. They have investment in Atlantic Lithium, they have investment in Asante Gold, they are planning more investment in other areas. Okay? And very soon we will see these Atlantic Lithium people on the stock exchange. Now, the report on FESPA is ready. You know, during the debate on the lithium agreement, there was this requirement that 2 reports must be generated, one on the kaolin and FESPA, and then the one on the chemical plant. We've seen the FESPA one, it's been submitted, they did a presentation, it's fantastic. And the companies here can take it locally. It's high grade and it's quite interesting.
For the benefit of those who do not know, what's FESPA?
Oh, FESPA is, if you like, a mineral that is used in making ceramics. Okay. So if you go to, there's a company called Twyford.
Yes.
It's in Western region. Yes. They have the gas pipeline within their company. Yes. You see, so again, the issue of energy is also important. And their annual turnover is $300 million. They use 5 minerals. So it's not as if value addition is not happening. It is there, but it's negligible. Is
there a link between FESPA and lithium?
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, they all occur together in the same ore body.
That's what I wanted to find out.
Yes. And so the company uses 5 minerals. They use limestone, which they get from the artisanal mines, particularly those around the Krobo area. They use tack. They use clay.
What's tack?
It's a type of clay, whatever.
And it's found where?
It's found all over Ghana.
Okay.
Then there's clay. And then there's, I've mentioned clay, tack, limestone, kaolin, and FESPA. Okay. FESPA, they dig it around Central region, Western
So there's
region.
a likelihood that anywhere you find lithium, there could be FESPA?
Yes. Okay. Or as a byproduct. So for example, silver comes as a byproduct when you are processing gold. You can get also copper. So gold, copper can occur together. There's a huge project in Madagascar called the Ambatovi project. It's nickel, cobalt, you know, about $10 billion worth of investment. Or even in refining copper, you can get molybdenum. So those things occur together. They call them co-minerals. So the Twyford one is, if you ask me, is the best example of a successful value addition to minerals in Ghana. Okay. Turnover is about $300 million. They use 5 minerals: kaolin, clay, tack, limestone, and FESPA. So they are also saying they'll be taking the FESPA that will be coming from Awea, and they produce ceramics from the local market. They export to Guinea, Peru. Now here they export to US duty-free. Okay, so this is a Chinese company that is set up in. There are about 5 ceramics companies in Ghana here owned by the Chinese. So that is a typical example
they're
of
all
value.
owned by Chinese.
Yeah, they're all owned by Chinese. But sometimes, Randy, yes, we will have to push the ownership thing, but then you are better off they setting up here, employing, adding value, paying taxes, than you taking it as raw. Yes, but a forum like this, a platform like this, provides us an opportunity to tell people the opportunities out there for people to invest. So they have taken the opportunity, and they've invested so much, and they get all these minerals. For now, interestingly, all these 5 minerals that they use in producing those ceramics, they get them from small scale. You see it. And I want you to take this from me or hear this from me. Some of the finest clay deposits in Ghana that are good for these ceramics are in Volta region.
Volta region?
Yes.
Not Oti?
No, not Oti, Volta region.
Which part of Volta?
Oh, you go to the Tongue area and even Amfuega and all those places. The clay there is super. it's even good for clinker.
Okay.
So a company is setting up to mine it. Currently they import, they import and bag cement here. So they've done a lot of studies. The clinker in that part of, if you like, north and south of there, it's so good, and that will reduce the quantity of clinker.
Have you found something around the Pando?
Pando? There's a town called Anfuega. It's within that vicinity. Yeah, they have a lot of clay deposits.
I like the paramount chief a lot. He's a lawyer.
Anfuega. Yes, quite a very senior lawyer. So that is it. There are a lot of industrial mineral deposits in Volta region. So geological survey is doing a lot of work there. But the clay,
I want to find out a lot too about Pando.
Yes, the clay. Oh, I know because you own Pando House of Land. But the clay deposit in the town area is so good to make clinker because you see
the quality.
Yes, if you have your currency falling, you see, so it means that and you are importing clinker to add to your cement here. It means that you are spending more. As your currency falls. So they did a study and they realized that look. The type of clay there, it's so good, and they can use it to reduce how much clinker they export. There's so much in this country, so that is also one of the policies I highlighted. Diversify. So let me indicate the 6 key areas.
Right.
We will need to deepen and enhance local participation and local content. That we've done very well. I mean, I took you through the 10 years reforms.
Yes.
We've done so much. We've been very successful. We can do more. Small scale, I've talked about it. We'll revisit it another time. So that's number 2. An area that we've not done well, which now the focus is shifting towards and is growing. I've just mentioned one company raising $180 million locally. Is how to raise money to finance mining operations locally than the traditional or conventional that we know, stock exchanges, equity and private individuals from outside. So that takes us to number 3. Then we are now diversifying our mineral resource base. Okay, yes, we will still mine a lot of bauxite, manganese, gold, and coal for decades. But now we're looking at lithium, we're looking at graphite, we're looking at nickel. We're also looking at the so-called industrial minerals. Some call them developmental minerals. I've mentioned some already. And then we are looking at value addition. We need to add value to our minerals. It's also very, very important. So these are the areas that I think we should focus on. Okay, so local content, diversification of our mineral resource base, raising finance locally. You can go to the stock exchange or equity firms, and then you do value addition, you do small scale.
Okay, so I got this text message. It says, good morning, Dr. Randy. I wanted to come and see you next week, but I want you to ask the Mineral Commission boss for me. My daughter wanted to become a mining engineer, but unfortunately she couldn't get a chance. Currently she is pursuing a diploma in public administration at the University of Ghana, Legon. Please, can she switch into doing a degree in her dream course as in engineering?
Well, I don't know whether she took science
at the secondary level.
At the secondary school. I would like to get his number. If she took science at the secondary school, then why waste your time? Why waste your time and do this diploma in public administration at Gimpa where she will never get any job?
When she can go to one of the technical
So she should just go to Polytechnic and do HND mechanical.
Is that technical university?
Yes, HND mechanical, because I believe she has finished high school.
Yes.
So she can do HND mechanical or HND, what do you call it, civil engineering. You understand that? And then it's quite easy to enter the system. Then later on she can pursue a master's degree in mining engineering.
Right.
Yes, that is it. If she read science at O level, I'll advise her she's just wasting her time. Diploma in public administration at Gimpa, she's wasting her time.
All right, at Lagos. Anyway, if it sits well with you,
yes,
I'd like us to, for next week and maybe the week after, if we can look at the 2014 policy, the highlights of it, and then
the changes,
the draft. That's because you've given it to CSO already, so we can discuss it. We're also part of CSO.
Yes.
And then we can look at the recommendations as a result of what has happened the last 10 years, and also looking into the future.
We will do so.
Yes, if it sits well.
Yes, because then it means that discussing it on television and radio station is also part of the stakeholder engagement.
Yes.
Because it's not everybody will be able to attend our forums.
Yes.
So as they listen to us, they can also send us memoranda. We'll put it also out there in the papers, and then put it on our website and ask people to send us a memoranda.
Right.
So as people listen to us, they will now understand the rationale for some of the points.
Right.
So we can start the discussion of the review of the draft mining policy sometime next week.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Martin.
But it's a holiday.
Next week Thursday is a holiday. We can still do it.
Yeah, I leave that to you.
Yes, we'll talk
come
about
around.
that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And then you owe me a visit to the mines.
Yes.
And then these refineries I want us to see.
Right.
Sometimes it's important we let people see the kind of things we are talking about here. So let me find out when you are free. Yeah. I'll take you to an underground mine.
Okay.
And then we'll have a whole video.
We can put a team together here.
Yes, and then we'll go and look at it. But I want you to be there.
No, I'll be there.
And then I'll also take you to some of the small scale operations underground.
Okay.
The ones that are properly
I'll be there.
regulated.
I'll tell you a trick that Sir Sam Jonah played on us when he took us the underground. So when they saw everything, then he took us up. And then they had this gold bar, in like a glass.
Yes.
And then he says that, the board of Ashantis decided that Anglo Gold then has decided that to each of us will have
one bar.
One bar, but the catch is that you have to carry your own thing along. That is when I realized that it was no joke. Nobody could carry it.
You cannot carry it.
And therefore, none of us could get it. That's how I lost out on becoming a millionaire 25 years ago.
Okay.
Anyway, so thanks for joining me. We hope to have you again next week. Thanks for being a part of the show.